The NCAA College Basketball Committee is adding to the selection committee's team sheets. It should make selection better than ever before.
You are Locked On College Basketball, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? Happy Friday to all of you. Welcome into the Locked On College Basketball Podcast, the only daily national college hoop show out there. We're your hosts. This is Andy Patton. I'm Isaac Shade, and you're joining us at the place to get your college basketball content every single day. Thanks for making us your first listen or watch, and we want to remind you, you can get every episode ad-free on Amazon Music. Special shout out to all you everydayers joining us and all the members of the Locked On College Basketball Discord. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As playoffs wind down, the sports stop sportsing like we want them to, but this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone, every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Andy, a fun show today. We got some updates from the Men's College Basketball Committee coming out of their summer meetings. It's nothing crazy and big and outlandish, but still worth talking about. Also, a fun thing we're going to do in segments 2 and 3 is that we're going to draft a college player only Team USA for the Olympics. And so we'll get to that. We'll explain it more as we get there. Andy, the news we already knew, as reported by CBS's Matt Norlander on Wednesday of this week, is that there was no decision yet on NCAA tournament expansion. That was the case when the NCAA's release came out on Thursday. So we don't need to say any more on that other than it's confirmed that nothing's happening. The news is that there's no news, right? But several other things to hit on here. And Andy, I think the biggest thing, the first thing, is the fact that the NCAA is continuing to advance the data, the metrics that they give to the 12-person committee in order to most capably help them understand these teams and how to rank and evaluate them. So, folks, the way we break this down, and then I'll pass it to Andy to get his thoughts, is that we have metrics that are predictive in nature. That's our computer rankings like KenPom. And then we have our results-based metric. That's things like strength of record. Obviously, we also have the NCAA's net tool, which is the net evaluation tool. So, Andy, tell us, what are these new metrics we're getting, and which of those buckets do they fall into?
Yeah, it's kind of nice because they basically created one of each. So they're going to start using Torvik's data, barttorvik.com, which is
Congrats.
An incredibly cool thing for him.
Yeah.
Similar to Ken Pomeroy, he's somebody who's worked really hard in the college basketball space for a very long time with his data and his analytics, and consistently updating his system and how he gets the information and all that stuff. And to see his efforts and his work rewarded, not just for people like you and I who use his data frequently when assessing college basketball and everything like that, but to also see it being used in a way that is directly impacting the game and directly impacting the teams that make the NCAA tournament, who's in, who's out, to have a small part in that conversation because of the work that you have done. I have to imagine that's an incredible feeling for him and for everybody who has helped work on that site. So that's really great for him and good for college basketball. I think having another predictive metric, you have the BPI, you have Torvik, and you now have KenPom all kind of being factored in terms of how these committee members are assessing which teams are making the big dance and which teams are not. And then you have a trio of result-based metrics, the newest one being WAB, which is wins against or wins above the bubble. It goes alongside your strength of record, KPI, net, all of that stuff. So another opportunity in this case to evaluate results as opposed to just using predictive metrics, which, as has been discussed in recent years, particularly a lot last year, teams have sometimes found ways to game the net system by playing very easy non-conference schedules, knowing that they're going to get a lot of high quality games in their conference play. Like Big 12 teams did this a lot last year, came under fire. They were called out directly by Brad Brownell from Clemson saying we're as good of a conference as the Big 12, but we didn't schedule the same way as them. And it's hurting us because we didn't blow out these teams by 40 or 50 points. And so these alterations, adding Torvik, adding wins against above the bubble, should in theory help with that. It's never going to be perfect.
No.
And I think that's something that it seems obvious to say that, but I think it's an important acknowledgement. There is no way to make this perfect, and there is always going to be a way that teams figure out to, in some way, juice their own resume. They have been doing that for decades and decades. They're going to continue to do it. Teams and coaches will always be ahead of the curve in terms of finding ways to game the system to make their team look better on paper. That's just always going to happen. But I think as long as the committee is continuing to try to do new things, to add new wrinkles, to add more predictive metrics, more results-based metrics, and really kind of get a fuller picture of the quality of these teams, that's nothing but a good thing. It's not going to be perfect, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't strive to be better. And I think both these moves are ways that the committee is clearly proving they are attempting to clean this up and make this a better process going forward.
I'm right with you, Andy. Big congrats to Torvik for getting that. I mean, what a neat thing for all his hard work. But I particularly love the addition of the WAB, the wins against above bubble, whichever A you want to go with, because to me, this is such a balanced and helpful way to more objectively evaluate resumes, right? Like, I think it's going to be a way to help the selection committee members not be fleeced by what they're seeing, to be able to see whether it's, Clemson against a Big 12 school, to use that example a little bit further. And so I'm a big fan of that. I'm excited to see it. Andy, just a couple other quick things that we got on Thursday from the committee is the makeup of the 2025 field. This was expected, but now confirmed is that with the death of Pac-12, we're down to 31 conferences. So we will have 31 automatic qualifiers and 37 at-large bids. That's one extra at-large bid. So that's good to know. Probably the other biggest piece of news, Andy, is that not this upcoming year, but next year, the 26 tournament is going to be a single site for all the kind of championship stuff. Everything's going to be in Indy. It makes sense. That's where it was during the bubble, and that's where the NCAA headquarters is. So Division 1, 2, 3, and the NIT are all going to have their championship stuff there in the Indianapolis area. I think this is cool for basketball at large. For me personally, if I'm being honest, it doesn't move the needle a ton, but I love what it does for the lower levels of our sport to just get more eyeballs on them and bring more awareness. So I think that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, it's one of those things where I can't imagine having an incredibly strong reaction to this. Like it's everything in Indianapolis makes sense. That's where the NCAA is headquartered, and like you said, having D2 and D3 get the opportunities to play in the same place, in the same city as the Division I championship, as the NIT championship, it feels like it's nothing but a good thing for them, while it doesn't really impact the Division I stuff all that much. So I think this is just a positive thing, a small change, but a change that I think is good for the sport. And you like seeing them go in that direction as opposed to making small or big changes that go in the wrong direction, which is something we have seen and talked about and we're worried was going to happen with NCAA tournament expansion. So seeing a small group of moves that seem to be moving the sport in a positive direction is nothing but good news here in mid-July.
Just the other couple final bits of business are, we already knew that North Carolina's AD Bubba Cunningham is going to be the committee chair this upcoming year, but we learned that the Sun Belt commissioner, Keith Gill, is going to be the vice chair this year. And then the way it works is then that person always moves into the chair. So he'll be the chair of the 25-26 thing. Probably the other coolest thing for me, Andy, is we learned that starting this NCAA tournament in 2025, we're finally going to get the mic at the scorers table for the refs like we get in the NBA. This is just great. I think it's going to help with logistics. They don't have to run across the court to the media, to the press row and like, hey, here's the deal. It's going to be a flagrant one. We're upgrade. It's just, we'll all hear it. And so, Andy, I think that's just an obvious no-duh move that is good to do.
Yeah, exactly. One more small but obvious and productive change for college basketball. You can't hate that. Isaac, what we want to do now is talk about what if Team USA, who just defeated Canada in a scrimmage game on Wednesday night, for those of you who missed it, what if, like it was back in the day, Team USA was all college kids? So what we're going to do is we're each going to draft our own 12-man roster of current college student athletes who would represent the United States. We're going to talk about our dream teams, all that coming up in just a second. We're going to get to that right after a word from today's sponsor, eBay Motors. Folks, passion, drive, patience, that's the formula for winning championships, and it's also what helps keep your ride or die alive. And eBay Motors has everything that you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers to roof racks, exhaust kits to LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. Plus, with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you will always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's guaranteed fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your car every time, or you get your money back. Because, folks, with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home that W. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply, and eBay's guaranteed fit is only available to U.S. customers. All right, Isaac, having a little fun here to close out the show. We did borrow this idea from the Field of 68. They had a conversation talking about their college version of Team USA. We wanted to kind of build on that and also do a draft version of that. So I'm going to have a 12-man roster with the coach. Isaac's going to have a 12-man roster with the coach. They're going to be current or incoming college students. So we're not going to have players who just left the college ranks. No Dalton Connect, no guys like that.
Oh,
I know, right? Unfortunately. And we're each just going to trade off picking players. We'll have a graphic posted at the end. For those of you who follow us on social media, check out our Discord channel. We'll talk about it in there as well. We'll just kind of talk about how we would construct a Team USA roster built entirely out of college kids. So that's the explanation. Isaac, you said you have a coin. You're going to flip a coin.
It's a nickel.
We're going to determine who's going first, and we're going to get right into this bad boy.
All right, Andy, call it. In the air.
Heads.
It is tails. Deal with that. I'm going first, and that's
good. I didn't want to go first.
I know, man. Daggum it. Give me Mark Sears from Alabama.
Yeah, it's a good pick.
Thank you. I know. I'm the man. All right. My backcourt is now set.
Yes. Mark Sears was very high on my list. I might have actually taken him first, but I'm going to go in the direction that I think a lot of people might have expected us to go here. I'm going to go with Cooper Flagg. Just way too versatile of a player. I feel like you can build any way around him if you have him on your roster. So give me Cooper to start this thing off.
All right, fine. You can have him. Dadgummit. That's where I was going very next. I was going to bounce around. Okay. You know what? I'm just going to build a stupid backcourt. Give me RJ Davis from North Carolina, who, along with Dalton Connect and Mr. Zach Edey, were the top 3 in last year's Player of the Year voting. So I'm just loading up my backcourt, dude.
Yeah, I was planning to take RJ Davis, so I didn't think you would go double guards on me there. But fair enough. That is a very, very good backcourt for you. I'm going to go with, I'm not sure if I love this or not, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to go with Caleb Love. Yeah, he's just such a dynamic scorer, and you can make up with some of the defense by having Cooper Flagg on the roster there. I think Flagg's a guy who doesn't need the ball in his hands to score, so I think that him and Love makes a good 2-man pairing there to start off the team.
Yeah, that's fair. I was thinking how funny it would be to have RJ Davis and Caleb Love back in the same backcourt together again.
You weren't going to take a third straight guard, though?
No, I wasn't going to get him right there, but I did have him on my radar for like later on just for the hilarity of it. That would have been great. Okay. I am going to take, oh man, I think he might not be on your radar, so I'm going to wait on him. Give me Alex Caravan.
That was my next guy.
Yes, come on.
That's a good pick. That's a good pick.
Alex Caraboot, I called him earlier this week. Which he's fine, everybody. No worries. Alex Caravan is fine. But yeah, man, if I could have him to be able to play the 3 or the 4, I feel really good about that.
Yeah. I'm going to go with another wing type as well because I was thinking Caravan right there. So instead, I'm going to go with AJ Storr.
Oh, that's good.
Going to play this next year at Kansas, coming off of a tremendous season last year. at Wisconsin. Give me my wing there in AJ Store.
I like that. Okay. Oh man. Okay. I'm going to move to the front court now, and I want a lot of rim protection. Give me Ryan Kalkbrenner.
We're on the same page, which is good. I just wish you weren't picking right in front of me.
It's hard because I'm always going to be picking right in front of you in this draft.
Yeah, that's
also the problem is that we know the guys we both like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. It's like we kind of play off each other a little bit. I'm going to go with another big as well. I guess I'm going to go with Hunter Dickinson. I'm not in love with him because of the defense necessarily in an Olympic setting. I think that would be a bit of a challenge. But again, I'm going to use Cooper Flagg to kind of balance out some of my defensive areas of concern. I'll get a switchable big later in the draft here. But Dickinson's offense is just so dynamic, and having him and Love and Store and who's my last guy? Oh, and Flagg, of course. Yeah, that's a lot of offense and one really good defender.
I love that combination of Flagg and Dickinson in the front court. Yeah. That is electric. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get my switchable big, who, Andy, let me look back. I had it pulled up. This guy was number 3 in the nation in player efficiency rating last year, behind only Zach Edey and Donovan Clingan. Gimme. Any guesses who it is?
No, hit me.
Janai Broom.
Okay. Yeah, I should have guessed that. That's a good pick.
I'm going to fill out my, I think he could pair well with Kalkbrenner, actually.
Yeah, I think it worked. Yeah, I do think that would actually work pretty well. Okay. So I should probably get another guard here. All right, I'm going to go with another guard who I was a little surprised didn't stay in the NBA draft process, as he was very likely going to be selected. That would be Wake Forest's Hunter Salas.
That's a great pick.
Him and Love is a lot of scoring, a lot of 3-point shooting. It is frankly not a lot of distribution, so that is an area to perhaps clean up later in the draft to get a facilitator, a pass first point guard. But Salas and Love are as good of scoring guards in the country outside of the two that you got on your team.
Yeah, no, I was gonna think about taking him at the wing, so where he could play 3 and or bump down to 1 or 2. I think that's a great pick. All right,
hang on before you go, real quick. I guess this is probably not exactly the starting lineups, but we each have 5 guys, so just quickly list them out here. So for Team Andy here, we got Hunter Dickinson and Cooper Flagg in the front court, AJ Store on the wing, Hunter Salas and Caleb Love in the backcourt. Team Isaac, Janai Broom and Ryan Kalkbrenner in the front court, Alex Caravan on the wing, and RJ Davis and Mark Sears in the backcourt. Those are your 2 teams right now through the first 5.
I'd go to war with both of those teams,
dude.
Absolutely. That is electric lineups. I'm all in on this. All right, folks. We got one more pick each here in the first half, because as a reminder, Olympic rosters are 12. Man, there's so many people on my list who I really, really like. Janelle Davis.
Yeah, he was on my list.
I think I like that because he could probably play the 3 if you've got Sears or Davis, but he could also slide down to the 2 if need be. Yeah. So I'll take Janelle Davis.
Yeah, I was kind of looking at a combo guard type, somebody who could play the 1 or the 2. Salas is the guy that I ended up getting there, but Davis was very high on the list as somebody who could do that. I'm going to take pass first point guard because I was just alluding to feeling like that's not something I have on the current roster. There's 2 or 3 options that I'm looking at here, but I'm going to go with another player from Kansas. I feel like I'm taking a lot of guys from Bill Self's squad here, but I'm going to go with DeJuan Harris. Just such a dynamic point guard. In this situation, he'd be the 3rd guard coming off the bench to allow him he could play alongside Love or alongside Salas. And I think you could see it working pretty seamlessly in either of those situations.
Andy, I love it. It's a great pick. So that's the top 6. All right, folks, here's how it's going to go next. We've got 6 more guys to fill out the back half of our roster. How are we going to finalize them? And what coach are we each going to tab to bring gold for our individual programs? More on that in just a second. Right after I tell you about FanDuel, we love sports so much. We cannot wait for the Olympics because all we got right now is baseball action. And man, the Olympics just opens it up. But as everything else is winding down, we got these fewer games. The sports just aren't sportsing like we want them to. Good news, though, is that FanDuel lets you keep the sports going whenever you want. All you have to do, open up the app, dream up bets anytime you're in the mood. And like we said earlier, this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone, every day, all summer long. How about this? Talking about USA basketball's team. Team USA currently sitting at minus 550 to take home the gold with a heavy college-laden Canada squad next up at plus 1,100. So if you want to get in on that action or anything else, head on over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. All right, Andy, we're going to pick this thing back up. Our final 6 picks. I think we're going to end up needing to do some honorable mentions because there's some dudes that we're going to get left off this team. I don't really have a guy that's like a true honest to goodness contributor. And so I'm kind of shocked that I'm going to take this pick here, but give me Braden Smith from Purdue.
Okay.
I know he's undersized and who knows kind of how it's going to be without Zach Edey, but this is a guy that was putting up triple double-ish numbers on a pretty consistent basis last year. And I think I really want somebody that can come in and run my second unit for this team. And I think Braden Smith could be that guy.
That's a great pick. One of the best point guards type players that was still available. There's a lot of really good guards in college basketball right now, but he's definitely among those on that list. I'm kind of debating who I want here, and I think I finally settled. He's a little undersized for a wing, but I feel like it's still going to work just with the play style that he has. So give me Cam Jones from Marquette here.
Yes.
I was kind of looking for somebody 6'5", 6'6", to kind of play the wing position. I know Cam Jones is listed at 6'4", but he's a good rebounder. He's a great three-point shooter. He can distribute the ball a little bit. I think he's going to have a really big season, especially with Russo and Colette gone for Shaka Smart's team. So I think we're looking at a big year for Cam Jones.
That's a great calling. And I'm right with you. I think he's going to have a massive year for Marquette this year. All right, Andy, want to get back to, either a wing or a forward here. There's more guards I want, but I'm so guard heavy right now. Mm-hmm. Okay, this guy, I'm nervous at some point you're going to end up taking him, so I want him. Give me Tucker DeVries, who is leaving Drake with his dad to go to West Virginia, one of the best scorers in the country, but has that size and can do it. I think this is whom I want to be able to come in along with Braden Smith and others in that second unit to just score a bunch of buckets.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good pick. He was on my radar as well, so definitely snagged him at the right time there. I'm trying to find, I'm looking for some bigs that could kind of maybe space the floor a little bit more. Flagg shooting is, I think, going to be solid, but it's a bit of a question mark.
Yeah.
Dickinson certainly doesn't really provide that on a consistent level. So there's a couple bigs that I'm kind of eyeing that I think fit that role that would be good to kind of have coming off the bench for this team. So I'm stalling to debate which one I actually want to grab. Give me Coleman Hawkins. Give me Coleman Hawkins.
Oh no!
Yeah, I was between him and another big. We'll see if you end up taking.
Who was the other one that you wanted?
We'll see if you take him. I might take him later. Hawkins, he can play the 4. Apparently, Kansas State might consider him at the 3, so we'll see if that works. But he can space the floor. He can score around the rim. He's an improved defensive player. I think he's a valuable kind of role player coming off the bench for this lineup.
Yeah, that's literally my next pick is where I was going.
Got him.
I love that as your third big, Andy. That's a great pick. Well, since you did that, my other bigs are kind of next tier down. So I'm going to go back to kind of the wing slot. I know this guy has often played more as like a shooting guard, but I think he'd be a great wing. He's transferring home to Villanova. I want some Wooga Poplar on my team, Andy. So yeah, I'm going to go with him.
Good pick there. Yeah, I had him kind of on my radar. I'm not sure. He might have been a good last pick, but I like him here. I think he fits because he's versatile, can play the 2, can play the 3. Really, really good scorer, high-level athlete. That's a fun pick there. I'm going with I want some shooting. I have a good amount of shooting, but let's get more. Let's get somebody who's just a dead eye, come off the bench and drill 3-pointers. There's a couple options that I think really stand out to me, but I want a little bit more size, so I'm going to go with a slightly bigger player. Transferring into the ACC, that is Cade Tyson.
Yeah.
He played last year at Belmont, averaged 16 points a game. Not expecting that from him, but he was a 46% 3-point shooter, pretty high volume shooter as well. I think he's going to fit really nicely as kind of a 7th, 8th man on this roster. Not somebody who you're expecting big minutes out of necessarily, but if you need a 3-pointer, you need somebody to space the floor, he's going to come in and get you that easily.
Well, I was needing that at some point, and I was either going to go with him or Koby Brea from Kentucky, transferring to Kentucky. So I'll go ahead and take Koby now to give me just that shooting.
Those are the two guys I was between.
Yeah. So I'll go with that for my next pick. I know it's same kind of thing, right? Like, I don't even think he's going to start for Kentucky. But again, you and I are building a team here, Andy, not necessarily like the very best players. And I think that he fits a great role similar to what Cade Tyson will do. Two of the very best shooters in the country last year. Yeah.
He is a perfect role player. And yeah, like when you see even like Team USA, like their roster this year in particular is stacked. But when teams try to build a roster with a bunch of ball dominant players, it can be kind of challenging. Right. So finding a way to build a roster where you have guys who fill roles who don't necessarily need the ball in their hands, I think is really a valuable way, and especially in an Olympic setting. And that's why Brea and Tyson were two guys I'm not surprised both ended up going in this draft, because I think they fill those needs really admirably. So I got 3 guards, 3 wings, 3 bigs. So I feel like I can kind of go a lot of different directions here with my next pick. It's kind of looking down at a few different options. I think I'm going to get another guard here. And I'm going to go with a maybe surprising pick, back-to-back guys who are currently on Kentucky's roster. The Drew Holiday mold, you want somebody who's just a lockdown point of attack defender who can go guard the other team's best guard and lock them up. So I'm going to go with Lamont Butler, who's over at Kentucky now from San Diego State. He's a clutch shooter. He's a bit undersized, but I think somebody who could fill just kind of a defensive focused role for this team in an Olympic setting.
All right, Andy, we've got 2 player picks left each. What's funny is I was going to do the exact same thing as you and get a kind of lockdown guard defender. So I think I'm going to save him for my last pick, because I've only got 2 real front court players. And I'm actually going to go back to the Villanova well. Give me Eric Dixon.
Nice.
To fill out my front court here. I loved what he did at Villanova. I love the capability he has to kind of bully ball or get out and do some other things, play make and others, things like that. So he was kind of if I didn't get Coleman Hawkins, he was my next for that role. So give me Eric Dixon. Yeah,
he's a really nice fit in that same type of role. So that's a really good pick that I really like. I'm going to go with my final big here. At least I think my final big. It's not the player that I was considering earlier when I took Coleman Hawkins. That was Grant Nelson, by the way. I'll just mention it here.
I thought about him. Okay, yeah.
Because I'm going to go with the big who's a bit more defensive focused. Also, a guy who's a little bit less proven, which I think is kind of intriguing. I'm curious to see how he does at his new school, and that's JT Toppin. From New Mexico, transferred to Texas Tech. He's a great rim protector. I think he's also a switchable big. Like, you can kind of have him be in roles where he can defend in the pick and roll and do that. And I don't think Hunter Dickinson is not that guy. Obviously, Cooper Flagg is, but he can't play every minute of every game. So I think Toppin's somebody who could kind of fill a role as a more versatile defensive big, somewhat similar to the role Bam Adebayo fills for the actual U.S. team. And I think I'm excited to see what he can do at Tech next year.
I think that's a fun pick, Andy. I really like that. Okay, I had thought about Grant Nelson as well. I love, there's so much that he can do. He was a little up and down for me last year. I think year 2 at Bama will be better, but I really do need just what you're talking about earlier, that dominant guard who can lock down but also score. So I want Tamin Lipsey from Iowa State to fill out the last slot on my roster.
Tamin Lipsey was one of the last names I put on my list, so that's very fortuitous that he ended up being one of the guys you snagged there at the end.
I love it.
Well, I got 4 bigs, 4 guards, and 3 wings. I don't think I technically necessarily need to fill out that final spot with the wing, but it is kind of where I'm looking here. There are some guards I'm considering too. I think I'm just going to go with extreme upside here with my last pick, because we haven't taken a lot of incoming freshmen outside of Cooper Flagg. And I'm really intrigued by the pair of freshmen who are joining Rutgers next year. But because he's a little bit bigger, because I think he fits team needs more, give me Dylan Harper, son of Ron Harper, a guy who I think is going to have some do some really good stuff for Rutgers next year. He's a little bit undersized to be a wing in this lineup, but I have enough size, I think, in the front court to handle that. And I think the upside with a player like Harper, when you watch how these rosters are built, often you have those kind of high upside guys towards the end. So give me Dylan Harper to fill that role for this squad.
Well, it's funny, as soon as you said high upside with no experience, I thought you were going to go the other way and take Ace Bailey with it. So that's funny, Andy. I
wasn't sure in my head which one I was going to take when I said that.
Until you did it. I love to see it. Andy, since I've been picking players first this whole time, we're to the coaches now. Why don't you take the first coach pick?
There is one coach in the college ranks who is currently working with the Olympics. There is one coach who is a current coach who has experience working in FIBA tournaments, who has experience coaching against international teams. I got to go Mark Few. I don't necessarily think Mark Few is the best coach in college basketball. He is 100% on the list, but he is probably not the best coach. But in terms of experience in this specific role, you got to go with Mark Few. So that's who I'm going with.
Yep. For me, I was deliberating between Mark Few, Bill Self, Tom Izzo, and Dan Hurley. That was my short list. I think I always say I think Bill Self is the best coach in college basketball. Yeah. So I'm gonna stick with that. Give me Bill Self for my head coach. Andy, these rosters are great.
They are so great. Your list was great. The only names I would toss on there would be Scott Drew or Matt Painter, but I think that Self and Few are fantastic choices here. And yeah, these rosters are loaded. There are so many players we forgot too. Isaac, do you have anybody that stands out to you that we didn't get to?
Yep.
That we think would make
for the bigs? You've already said Grant Nelson. A couple other guards I had. If I with the shooting kind of things, I was kind of going back and forth between Koby Brea and LJ Cryer, and I maybe should have taken Cryer over Koby Brea, but I didn't. Wade Taylor I had on my list. He's a little too up and down for me. But the others, two big-time scorers that we haven't mentioned are Kaderi Richmond and Chaz Lanier.
Yeah, I think I would be willing to argue that Kaderi Richmond is the best player we didn't pick in this, just in terms of his overall skill set and ability. He would have made a ton of sense, even probably over Lamont Butler, if we're being perfectly honest. But yeah, he really stood out to me. Liam McNeely from UConn stood out to me, and Ace Bailey as those kind of freshmen who certainly could be in this conversation. Other than that, I think we did a really good job. There's some wings: Kaluma, Jameer Watkins were guys I had on my list. Bryce Hopkins, just for their versatility, can do a lot of different things. Tyrese Proctor, I came really close to taking him too, but by and large,
he's Australian, isn't he?
Oh yeah, you know what? I think actually that's why I didn't take. Yeah, there's a couple guys we would have taken if they would represent the United States: Norchad Omier, VJ Edgecombe, perhaps Zvonimir Ivasic or somebody like that. But I love the rosters we have here. I'm excited to get them put out onto some graphics and get some people voting or discussing what they like and don't like about them, because these would be some fun teams.
I love those wings you just mentioned there, Andy. The only other two guys I had remaining that you didn't say there were Latrell Reitzel. I love his shooting, was one of the best three-point shooters in the nation last year. And Terrence Edwards, that's going from James Madison to Louisville. Just a great scorer and would be, I think, a solid wing there as well. But good grief, we could have filled out 3 or 4 of these teams and felt great about them.
Very, very easily. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for us today and for this week as we get into Olympic stuff. We're going to continue to have coverage on the Olympics and the college players in particular who are involved in the Olympics. We're also going to keep you up to date on Summer League and recruiting and any late transfer portal stuff that still comes along here. We are a 5 days a week podcast, not just November through March. Like I like to say, we are here 5 days a week all summer long. So keep checking in here on the Locked On College Basketball Podcast. Folks, thank you so much for making this show your first listen or your first watch of the day. Have a fantastic weekend. Apologies to the Lawyer family. He did not make the cut here, although his teammate Braden Smith did. Let's go Wildcats. Quite a few Kentucky players here on the list. And until Monday, peace.